Senator Ruston.
Thank you very much, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Aged Care. The Coalition has dragged Labor kicking and screaming today to deliver all of the 83,000 home care packages that were promised by them during the election, including 40,000 of these places before the end of the year and 20,000 of those places right now. Labor didn't want to do this, but we're pleased, along with the Greens and Senator Pocock, that we have made this happen today on behalf of older Australians. Why did it take the government to the last minute for you to support this sensible position?
Thank you, Senator Ruston. Minister McAllister.
Thank you very much, President. And the government is very pleased to have worked with the opposition and indeed with parliamentarians from across the parliament, both on the first round of legislative reforms that will usher in the new aged care arrangements from the 1st of November, and also the bill that is before the parliament now. As Senator Ruston indicates, we have continued to engage in those positive and constructive negotiations with the opposition over this sitting period, and we are grateful for their genuine desire to help us build a better aged care system. We also, of course, now and always listen to older Australians, because this is about them. Older Australians deserve our support. They deserve the very best aged care system that our country can deliver, and that is what we are determined to bring into being. We know that there is increasing demand on the aged care system, and we will continue to see that as our population ages. To keep up with increased demand, the Albanese government is bringing forward the release of the 83,000 additional home care places. We will make an extra 20,000 home care packages available in the next 8 weeks until the new Aged Care Act comes into effect. Once the new Supported Home program comes into place, we will provide support to a further 63,000 extra older Australians in its first 8 months by the 30th of June 2026. President, this is a responsible decision. It is a decision that will deliver more care, faster, to older Australians who need it most, while maintaining the medium-term fiscal save that was a key pillar of our aged care reforms last year.
Minister. Senator Ruston, first supplementary.
Thank you. The Minister for Aged Care has repeatedly claimed that there were, and I quote, around 87,000 Australians waiting for a home care package. But this morning in the Senate, under pressure from me, you confirmed that there were 108,924 elderly Australians waiting for the care that they've been assessed as needing on the 31st of July 2025. Minister, for how long have you been holding this information?
Thank you, Senator Ruston. Order. Order on my right. Minister McAllister.
Thank you very much, President. Well, as I answered in response to questions from Senator Ruston this morning, the government's preference is to provide information that has been quality assured. And it's on that basis that the government has provided the numbers which were relevant in March. Senator Ruston asked me a very direct question about updated numbers this morning, and I do need to provide a qualification in relation to those. That data has not been screened, it has not been quality assured, and it may be subject to change. Our preference always is to provide information to the Senate that is accurate
Minister
and relevant, and that was the basis on
Senator Ruston.
On a point of direct relevance, I was just keen for the minister maybe to go to the question.
Order.
I was just asking how long has she known about the information that was provided this morning?
Thank you, Senator Ruston. The minister is being directly relevant to the question. Minister, have you finished? Thank you. Senator Ruston, second supplementary.
Minister, could you please explain why the Labor Party voted against the immediate release of 20,000 home care packages this morning in the chamber?
Order. 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 I am informed that technically the minister should not be responding to unreported as yet proceedings from this morning, but I will invite the minister to contribute to the question in whatever way she sees as fits the portfolio. Minister.
Thank you, President, and thank you for the guidance. Senator Ruston, I think the best way I can answer your question is this. From the very outset, we have sought to work with the opposition on the reform of the aged care system, and there's good reason for that.
Senator Ruston.
I'd just like to draw to the chamber's attention that the minister is actually making statements that she does not know to be true, for they are false.
Senator Ruston, that is a debating point, and there is no point of order for this question because I've explained the nature of your question and I've invited the minister to respond in her capacity as the portfolio minister. Minister McAllister.
Thanks very much, President. In answer to Senator Ruston's question, the point I seek to make is that it is a good thing if the government and the opposition can work together on significant reform. It's important because these are challenging reforms that matter to older Australians, and it's important because implementing them well means providing certainty to providers, to workforce and to making significant change that will endure over time. And that is why we sought to work with the opposition on the original legislation and also on the legislation that is before the Senate at the moment.
Thank you, Minister. I'm just going to welcome some visitors before I come to you, Senator Smith. So I draw to the attention of honourable senators present in the gallery of a delegation from the Parliament of Kiribati, the Public Accounts Committee, led by the Chairman, the Honourable Mr Toviga. On behalf of all senators, I wish you a warm welcome to Australia and in particular to the Senate. Senators, I also draw to the attention in the presence of the gallery of a Senate delegation from the France-Australia Parliamentary Friendship Group. On behalf of all senators, I wish you a warm welcome to Australia and in particular to the Senate. Senator Smith.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister for Women, Senator Gallagher. This week is Women's Health Week. And, Minister, for too long we know women's health has been ignored. Can you expand on how the Albanese Labor government has taken action, including making record investments in women's health with pelvic pain clinics, new contraceptives and Medicare rebates for menopause? And, Minister, our commitment to investing in women's health, of course, sits alongside the government's commitment to strengthening Medicare and making medicines cheaper. How are Australian women benefiting from the government's investments in women's health?
Thank you, Senator Smith. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you very much, President. I thank Senator Smith, and I'm so pleased that Senator Smith asked me this question because it gives me the opportunity to place on the record and acknowledge the work that she did in the previous term in the area of women's health, in particular with a focus on perimenopause and menopause. And it's a direct result of some of the work that Senator Smith did that we are able to incorporate some of the measures that we've had and we are implementing in this term of government. So this week is National Women's Health Week. It's a nationwide campaign with events focused on improving women's health. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of the member for Cooper, I think, Ms Carney, on the work she did on the women's health package in the lead-up all throughout last term. But over the last term, we've opened 22 endometriosis and pelvic pain clinics across all states and territories. We've also listed new contraceptives on the PBS for the first time in 30 years, hard to believe. Yaz and Yasmin on the PBS from the 1st of March and Slinda from the 1st of May. We've listed new menopause therapies on the PBS for the first time in over 20 years, so Prometrium, Estrogel and Estrogel Pro on the PBS from March the 1st. We've established a new Medicare rebate for menopause health assessments, and over 20,000 women have undergone a menopause health assessment covered by Medicare since they became available on the 1st of July. We've made longer gynaecology consultations cheaper through 2 MBS items from the 1st of July, which allows for consultations of 45 minutes or longer, which allows those complex conditions that women may have to be addressed by a doctor. We are also opening a further 11 endometriosis and pelvic pain clinics. We're making LARCs insertion cheaper, so those long-acting reversible contraception cheaper, and we're training more medical professionals in how to do that.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator Smith, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. Women across Australia often face barriers to diagnosis, and they face higher costs when it comes to accessing the care that they need and deserve. How will Labor's Cheaper Medicines Bill, passed earlier this week, help women with the costs of their health care?
Thank you, Senator Smith. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you. And Senator Smith is correct in linking the women's health package along with those other measures going into cheaper medicines and the bulk billing incentives and the increases we've put in there. New figures released today show that hundreds of thousands of Australian women are already accessing cheaper medicines and better health care thanks to those measures. Since announcing the women's health package earlier this year, so just in the last 7 months, more than 365,000 women have accessed more than 715,000 cheaper scripts for oral contraceptives, menopausal hormone therapies and endometriosis treatments that were listed on the PBS. Before the listings of Yaz, Yasmin and Slinda on the PBS, women were paying about $380 a year for their contraception. Now they are paying less than half, $126.40 or just $30.80 with a concession card. Before the listing of Estrogel, Prometrium and Estrogel Pro, women might have paid up to $670 a year. They are now paying $31.60 per script.
Answering has expired. Senator Smith, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. The Albanese Labor government is investing in perimenopause and menopause, periods and contraception, endometriosis and adenomyosis. The government is listening to women and investing in health support for all stages of life, but of course not in isolation. How will broader investments to strengthen Medicare also support women to access the health care that they need?
Thank you, Senator Smith. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you. And as Senator Smith points out, we are looking at how we can bolster and strengthen women's health care across the board. So it's not just in those specific clinics like the endo clinics or in specific medicines, but it's across the board. We are looking at how we can make sure that women get the health care they need, when they need it and where they need it. We've already seen how women are benefiting from the 60-day dispensing and through lowering the price of medicines. We know that women visit the GP more often and often have higher out-of-pocket costs, and they will be a big beneficiary from the biggest investment in bulk billing, which will start from the 1st of November. We'll also open 50 more Medicare urgent care clinics, so 4 in 5 Australians will live within 20 minutes of an urgent care clinic across Australia. These will support women and their families to access the care they need when they need it. And we're also, of course, investing $1 billion to deliver more free public mental health services, which will also support women, including younger women.
Senator Cash.
Thank you, President. And my question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. There are reports that a number of individuals associated with the Islamic State terrorist group ISIS will be returning to Australia. Many of these individuals made the conscious decision to willfully abandon Australia to join the ISIS death cult, a group which committed genocide against Shia, Christian and Yazidi communities, murdered large number of civilians and used rape as a weapon of war against women and girls. Is the government aware of how many individuals associated with ISIS are intending to return to Australia from Syria? And does the Prime Minister support these individuals coming to Australia despite their links to terrorism?
Thank you, Senator Cash. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. I understand that the Minister for Home Affairs has provided comment to the media. I can indicate that we obviously are aware of media reporting. The Australian government is not providing assistance and is not repatriating this cohort.
Senator Cash, first supplementary.
Can the government guarantee that none of the individuals who made the conscious decision to willfully abandon Australia to join the ISIS death cult have committed any terrorist acts, have had any association with terrorism or have any ongoing links with extremist groups?
Senator Wong.
Well, Senator, I think that question doesn't follow from my answer to the primary. The government is not repatriating this cohort.
Senator Cash, second supplementary.
Can the government guarantee that in the event that these individuals do return to Australia, that all of the individuals who have associations with ISIS will be monitored by our security agencies? And can the minister guarantee that if these individuals are returned to Australia, there is no threat to community safety as a result of their return?
Thank you, Senator Cash. Minister Wong.
Well, the government always takes the advice of our security agencies, and our first priority is to keep Australians safe.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Faruqi.
Thank you, President. My question is to Minister Wong. Minister, since dawn today, Israel has starved 13 more Palestinians and killed 105. Babies are withering away from Israel's man-made starvation, and people are pulling their loved ones out of rubble. This week, the International Association of Genocide Scholars confirmed that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. The head of IAGS said, "This is a definitive statement from experts in the field of genocide studies that what is going on the ground in Gaza is genocide. There is no justification for the commission of war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide, not even self-defense." The United Nations, Human Rights Watch, the International Federation of Human Rights, Amnesty International and many other groups have also declared that Israel is committing genocide. Minister, when will you admit that Israel is committing genocide and start using the G word?
Thank you, Senator Faruqi. Minister Wong.
Well, Senator, like you, we want to see a ceasefire, and I hope, like you, we want to see a pathway to a Palestinian state, because that is the basis of security and peace for both Palestinians but also Israelis. What I would say in relation to the legal position, you would have heard me say on many occasions, I would have asked that Israel must comply with the binding provisional orders made by the International Court of Justice, which made provisional orders in 2024 in relation to South Africa's case against Israel under the Genocide Convention. You would have heard me on many occasions call on Israel to abide by its obligations under international humanitarian law. What we would say in relation to this latest report is that the Israeli government should take this resolution seriously, just as they should take seriously all of the calls from the international community to comply with international law. That has been our consistent position. It remains our consistent position. We will continue to advocate in accordance with international law.
Thank you, Senator Wong. Senator Faruqi, first supplementary.
Minister, the Genocide Convention, which you mentioned and to which Australia is a signatory, not only requires states to take action when a genocide is occurring, but to prevent it from occurring and ensure that states are not complicit. 13 states have already recognized Israel's genocide and resolved to take action to prevent genocide through the Hague Group. How long will you be a bystander without taking any concrete action against Israel's genocide of Palestinians?
Thank you, Senator Faruqi. Minister Wong.
It's disappointing that Senator Faruqi takes the approach she takes. She knows that this government has been steadfast in our calls for the observance of international humanitarian law, and she also would have seen some of the response from members of the Israeli government when I have done that. And when we have done that, you would have seen the response. We have been very clear about our position on international humanitarian law. We believe it is in Australia's interest to continue to assert that position, and we will go to the United Nations this month, and we will work with others to recognise the State of Palestine, because we are working with others in pursuit of peace.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Faruqi, second supplementary.
Minister, former Human Rights Commissioner Chris Sidoti yesterday said, "What is the alternative to a functioning international legal system? The only alternative is that might is right, the law of the jungle." the replacement of a rules-based international order with a fools-based international order. Yet, Minister, you stand here and gaslight us every time we ask you to take action. Will you abide by international law, or will you continue to shield Israel and support tyranny?
Thank you, Senator Faruqi. Minister Wong.
We are doing none of those things, and it really, on something as important as this, Senator, I do not understand why you feel the need to engage in personal attacks and the demonisation of others in pursuit of your own political objectives. I think it is objectionable. What I would say is this. I would invite you, Senator, to read many of my speeches about international law and the international rules-based order. What I have said repeatedly is that Australia has an interest in advocating for the rules-based order, whether it is international humanitarian law or the law of the sea in the South China Sea. We have an interest in that, and I've made actually precisely the point you avert to, that in the absence of that, we have an international system which is run by power alone. And as a middle power, that is not in our interest. So what we do, whether it is the law of the sea or what we do with others, is to continue to advocate for that system.
Thank you, Minister.
Sorry.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Mulholland.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister for Indigenous Australians, Senator McCarthy. We know food prices and availability are major issues for remote First Nations communities. The Albanese Labor government is committed to delivering cost-of-living relief to First Nations Australians in remote communities. Can the Minister update the Senate on the progress of the low-cost essentials subsidy scheme?
Thank you, Senator Mulholland. Minister McCarthy.
Thank you, President, and I thank Senator Mulholland for a question. A proud Queensland senator, and I particularly thank Senator Green for her advocacy on this issue as well. Senator Green and the now new member for Leichhardt went to that election promising cost-of-living relief in remote communities. Well, President, today I can advise the Senate that we are delivering on our cost-of-living promise to remote communities, including right across northern Queensland. Our low-cost essential subsidy scheme is seeing the cost of 30 essential items slashed. The scheme ensures that these 30 essential items are comparable to prices in cities. The expected savings for remote consumers on these items are up to 50%. And I can inform the Senator that residents across the Cape York, and here I go, in Bamaga, Cowan, Cowan-Yarma, Lockhart River, Mapoon, Napranum, Pomperau, Wudjil, and even in the Torres Strait, Senator, Thursday Island, Boigu Island, Hammond Island, Coconut Island, Horn Island, Mabuiag Island, and also in Doomadgee and Palm Island. In over 30 stores around northern Queensland, we are delivering cost-of-living relief. Remote stores will be offering cheaper groceries, providing cost-of-living relief, and food items that have been made cheaper include tinned veggies, canned fruit and rice, and along with everyday items such as nappies and toilet paper. And the Albanese Labor government is investing $50 million over 4 years to improve remote food security, including reducing the cost of essential items in up to 152 remote stores across the country.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Mulholland, first supplementary.
I thank the Minister for the update on the low-cost essentials subsidy scheme. I know the scheme will make an enormous difference in regions like the Cape York and Torres Strait, as you've outlined. We also know the high cost of food in remote stores is linked to high levels of food insecurity and preventable nutrition-related disease. How does this scheme support healthy eating and contribute to positive health outcomes as part of closing the gap?
Minister McCarthy.
Thank you, President. Well, the Albanese Labor government worked in partnership with the states and territories, and I do thank the states and territories who've worked very closely with me to ensure that this is occurring in our remote stores right across the country, and especially there in Queensland, to develop a national code of practice for remote store operations. This code works alongside our low-cost essentials subsidy scheme, President, to deliver better health outcomes for Indigenous Australians in remote communities. It establishes minimum standards for remote stores across operations, health and governance. And some of these standards include not promoting or discounting unhealthy food and drinks, also not providing easy access to unhealthy food and drinks at counters and in high traffic areas, except for ready-to-eat meals, and ensuring all fresh fruit and veggie items are continuously available, President, well presented and clearly displayed.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Mulholland, second supplementary.
Thank you, Minister, for outlining the cost of living impacts and health impacts of this policy. What are the other benefits of this policy for remote communities?
Minister McCarthy.
Well, President, the Senate might notice a return to a theme in this response. Yes, Senator, there is another benefit with this policy, and it's an important one, and that is jobs, jobs, jobs. Yeah. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Not only are we subsidising essential items and creating minimum standards in stores for health outcomes, we are funding the creation of an in-store nutrition workforce. So this means we will create jobs, real jobs, and equip locally engaged workers with the skills to build healthier retail food environments and provide informed advice to customers on healthy food purchases. We know Indigenous Australians in remote stores receiving advice from trusted people in a supportive and culturally appropriate environment are more likely to make healthier purchasing choices. So this will have a positive impact. Certainly this is what we want to be able to monitor going forward in terms of health outcomes, and we've got a plan, President, and we are delivering on it.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Tyrrell.
Thank you, President. My question is for the Minister representing the Minister for Social Services, Senator Gallagher. Last Wednesday I raised the question on the unfair classification of twin births as a single birth rather than a multiple birth. The multiple birth allowance was introduced in 1985, to quote a former minister, in recognition of the extra costs faced by parents following simultaneous birth, as well as the indirect costs of reduced workforce participation. Minister Farrell last week agreed that multiple means two or more. You agreed that parents of twins face extra costs. You accept they have reduced workforce participation. How does it follow that the logic that justifies additional support for parents of triplets does not also justify additional support for parents of twins?
Thank you, Senator Tyrrell. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you very much, President. I thank Senator Tyrrell for the question. As Senator Farrell said last week, we do recognise that the government recognises that families do face unique challenges when having multiple births, including the families of twins, and those births, while time for much celebration, often involves increased costs of raising children and placing pressure on parents around re-entering the workforce. And I've had the opportunity here to meet with the Multiple Birth Association when they come to town. There are a range of payments available and assistance available to the parents of twins. In relation to the specifics of why there's a certain interaction between twins as opposed to triplets, I would have to take that on notice and see if I can come back. I imagine there would have been, when it was designed, there would have been reasons around that, but I don't have that information in front of me. But I can say that parents of twins can, of course, access family tax benefit payments, both A and B, newborn supplement and newborn upfront payment. Parents of twins will also, of course, receive and the benefit of the expansion of PPL, and parents can also access both the PPL and family tax benefit supplements, like the newborn supplement and the newborn upfront payment, at the same time. This provides an additional $2,735.05 for parents of twins. This is not available to parents of one child and is specifically designed to provide additional support to families of twins. The multiple birth allowance payment recognises that families with 3 or more children born at the same time face disproportionately higher costs across their children's lives, as well as making it harder to work. But if there is more information I can provide around the history of that, I will.
Answering has expired. Senator Tyrrell, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. I received correspondence from the former minister who stated, Extending the multiple birth allowance would represent a significant increase in family assistance expenditure and would need to be balanced against other priorities to align with the government's responsible management of the budget. Minister, am I correct in understanding that the government's current position is that 98% of multiple births should be ineligible for multiple birth allowance because it would be expensive to support them?
Thank you, Senator Tyrrell. Minister Gallagher.
Well, I think in my earlier answer I went through the payments that are available to the parents of twins, which is extra in the order of $2,735.05 that are not available to parents of one child. So I think there is definitely a recognition there of the additional financial support from the government. So I don't accept the proposition put forward by Senator Tyrrell. And I think the multiple birth allowance payment, so the origins of that, is to accommodate births of 3 or more children born at the same time. I think the parents of twins accessing some of those other payments at the same time, that they can receive them for both babies, is recognition that there are extra costs and that those costs can be, in part way supported by the government through those additional payments.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Tyrrell, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. The then Minister accepted that the costs associated with twins are 5 times higher than that of a single child. Minister, if you accept this fact and you accept that not supporting them financially saves the government money, isn't it also true that the money you're saving comes from pushing the cost onto families who can't afford it?
Thank you, Senator Tyrrell. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you. Well, no, I don't accept that. I think the government and each budget we look at what we can do to make sure that we are supporting families with cost of living relief, and that's been right at the centre of a lot of the decisions that the Albanese government has taken, whether it be around childcare, whether it be about all of the health investments, whether it be through the tax cuts, whether it be us arguing for higher wages so that people can earn more and keep more of what they earn, but also into those other areas like investments in TAFE and all of those areas too is about supporting families with cost of living pressures. I've gone through the support that can be provided to twins. We always examine this at every budget about what further assistance can be provided, and I have no doubt with that Minister Carney and others will be considering the representations from the Multiple Birth Association and the parents of twins.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Scarr.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. Senator, I refer to Senator Cash's previous question and reports about the proposed return from Syria to Australia of individuals who made the decision to leave Australia and join the ISIS death cult. It was reported senior federal government officials are assisting the operation quietly in the background and intend to work with families of those in the camps and not-for-profit organisations to issue travel documents and obtain approvals from Kurdish-led authorities and neighbouring countries. I also note in the same article as you referred to, Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke is quoted as saying the government is not providing assistance to this cohort, end quote. Can the government guarantee that no taxpayer dollars are being spent assisting former ISIS supporters or associates to return to Australia?
Thank you, Senator Scarr. Minister Wong.
Well, President, with respect to Senator Scarr, that is actually the same question the leader asked me, and I can only refer you to that answer. Those reports are not correct, and the government is not providing assistance and is not repatriating this cohort.
Thank you, Senator Cash. Senator Scarr, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. If I could perhaps be more particular, the report refers to federal government officials assisting the operation quietly in the background and intending to work with families of those in the camps and not-for-profit organisations to issue travel documents. Is any such assistance being provided, or has any such assistance been provided since the last cohort came and were repatriated in October 2022?
Thank you, Senator Scarr. Minister Wong.
The first set of answers is I refer you to my answer to Senator Cash and my answer to the primary. Your second question is what has happened since 2022. If I can provide any further assistance on that, I will. I don't believe there's been any activity, but if I'm wrong, I will come back to you.
Senator Scarr, second supplementary.
So my second supplementary then is, in terms of you taking on notice, whether or not you can advise whether or not any taxpayer funds have been spent since October 2022, when that last cohort of women and children were repatriated to Australia, and whether or not any assistance has been given since that date.
Minister Wong.
Well, my answer is the same as my answer to Senator Cash.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Payman.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Transport, Senator McCarthy. The ABC has published a report today exposing shocking numbers of sexual assault committed by predatory driving instructors against mainly young people who should be feeling safe learning how to drive. This is an issue that stretches back decades. In fact, my mother has been engaged in this industry for years, providing a safe teaching environment for people learning to drive in WA. And I know how important it is for families to trust the instructors. As thousands of children and others get into cars with strangers today, what is the government doing to protect learner drivers, and will you consider making dash cams compulsory in driving school vehicles to deter and detect abuse?
Thank you, Senator Payman. Minister McCarthy.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Senator Payman, for the question. I certainly did hear the stories this morning and the young women and girls who certainly told their story. I'd like to just commend their bravery in coming forward to speak about a really, really difficult issue, but a very important one. So thank you, Senator Payman. Obviously, learning to drive should be an exciting time for young people where they commence their journey into adulthood and greater independence. And driving instructors, President, just like teachers and those in a position of responsibility in our society, have to ensure these environments are safe. Each jurisdiction sets its own rules, Senator, for instructor accreditation, compliance and also for disciplinary processes, and allegations of inappropriate behaviour by driving instructors are handled by the state or territory regulator responsible for issuing that accreditation. And these regulators have the power to actually investigate the complaints, suspend or cancel accreditation or impose conditions on an instructor's licence. But obviously, more critically, where instances of alleged criminality take place, these matters should be reported to the police.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Payman, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Minister. Given the urgency of this matter, and I understand it's a state matter, as you've mentioned, but will the government act to drive coordinated national reform and place this on the agenda at the next National Cabinet meeting?
Thank you, Senator Payman. Minister McCarthy.
Thank you, President. Senator Payman, we certainly are taking action at the national level to prevent sexual harassment by creating safer, respectful and more equitable workplaces. We've seen that through the implementation of the recommendations of the 2020 Respect at Work Sexual Harassment National Inquiry Report, which included an explicit prohibition on sexual harassment in the workplace through the Fair Work Act 2009, but also supported the Human Rights Commission to receive historical disclosures of sexual harassment, President, educate and enforce compliance from employers on the new positive duty to take reasonable action to prevent workplace sexual harassment and provide a one-stop shop for information and referral services.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Payman, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Minister, in the United Kingdom, the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency licenses driving instructors nationally and tracks misconduct complaints. The ABC report shows an increase in complaints after a public awareness campaign in 2018. Will the Labor government follow the British example and establish a national standards agency to regulate the sector to protect children from trainer danger?
Thank you, Senator Payman. Minister McCarthy.
As I said in my initial answer, obviously it is up to the states and territories, Senator, and I am confident that our minister is also having a good look at what's going on here. But as I've said in my previous response in regards to what we are doing nationally, that is important around the issues with sexual harassment.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Darmanin.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister for Early Education, Senator Walsh. Today is Early Childhood Educators Day. It recognises the vital contribution early childhood educators make every single day in supporting our children and families. For too long, educators were undervalued, with low pay and high turnover undermining quality and stability for children. When the Albanese Labor government was elected in 2022, educators were leaving in droves. What is the government doing to back early childhood educators and stabilise this essential workforce?
Thank you, Senator Darmanin. Minister Walsh.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Senator Darmanin, and thank you for your advocacy over many years for the women workers of Australia. And today is indeed Early Childhood Educators Day. And so today we recognise the extraordinary contribution that early educators make every single day to supporting children and their families. And we thank them for that contribution today and every day. For too long, early childhood educators were undervalued, with low pay and high turnover, undermining quality and stability for children. Under the Albanese government, that has changed, because this government values our early education workforce. We respect them, we recognise them, and we are taking action to support them. We've delivered a historic 15% pay rise, the biggest ever Commonwealth-funded wage increase for this workforce, and it's already paying dividends. Educators are staying longer in their roles. Vacancy rates are falling and services are more stable. This is good for children because stable educators mean quality relationships and stronger learning. And it's good for families too. We know families want to see the same faces when they drop their children at early learning. And it's good for the economy, supporting workforce participation, especially for women, unlocking productivity and growth. Today I met with Leanne, Nazish and Kathy, early childhood educators who told me that for the first time they feel their work is properly recognised. They are proud to stay in the sector and to build a career in early childhood education. And that is exactly what happens when you have a government that backs early childhood educators.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Darmanin, first supplementary.
Thank you, Senator Walsh. In your answer, you spoke about workforce stability in the sector, which is so important. We know that the foundation of quality and safe early education is a good quality workforce. How is the Albanese Labor government encouraging more workers into the sector and building a pipeline of future educators?
Minister Walsh.
Thank you, President. And Senator Darmanin, I'm pleased to report that the Albanese government is not only backing the educators of today, we are training the educators of tomorrow too. We've delivered over 50,000 free TAFE places for educators, and free TAFE changes lives. And I heard just how powerful that is when I met Shay at TAFE Gippsland. Shay is a mother of 5 and a grandmother of 11. She was retired until she heard about free TAFE. She told me that she still had more to give and that it's never too late to retrain and start again. So she did start again, enrolling in early childhood education. Shay said she couldn't think of a profession that's more important right now, and I couldn't agree more. Free TAFE is not only changing Shay's life, it's helping to give our children the best start in life too. Free TAFE is building our dedicated educator workforce for the children of today and tomorrow.
Minister Walsh, the time for answering has expired. Senator Darmanin, second supplementary.
Thank you, Senator Walsh. Why is it important to create a respected, stable and secure early childhood education workforce that is backed by free TAFE? And what are the consequences of not having a workforce that is respected, stable and secure?
Minister Walsh.
Thank you. Well, Senator, we have seen those consequences firsthand before. We saw the Coalition's approach during its decade of drift and disdain for early learning. They left behind a workforce crisis. They left the educators without a proper pay rise for 10 long years. They called our historic 15% pay rise a sugar hit. They voted against free TAFE. They called it wasteful spending. And at the last election, the former Shadow Minister said they would abolish free TAFE. Hello, Senator Henderson. And we all remember Liberal leader Ms Lee declaring, if you don't pay for something, you don't value it. We value, on this side of the chamber, we value Australian families. We value free TAFE and we value our nation's early childhood educators.
Thank you, Minister Walsh. Senator Canavan.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Climate Change and Energy, Senator Ayres. Yesterday, the Energy Minister recommitted to Labor's goal of reaching 82% renewable energy by 2030. In the first 2 years of your government, Minister, renewable energy has gone from 31% of our electricity grid to 35%, growing at a rate of just 2 percentage points per year. Renewable electricity share would need to grow at quadruple that rate, at 8 percentage points per year, to reach 82% by 2050. What evidence does the government have that this is possible without the mass devastation of the Australian environment and without ignoring widespread community opposition to its renewables rollout?
Thank you, Senator Canavan. Minister Ayres.
Well, it is a pleasure to get a question from known environmentalists passionate about the sort of modern future of the electricity system. Senator Canavan, you know, it is the case. You know, that's right. Senator Canavan says he's mates with Bob Brown on these questions. Well, that's nothing to be proud of. That's nothing to be proud of in terms of the renewable energy rollout. That's nothing to be proud of, because on this side, you interjected, I answered.
Senator Ayres, resume your seat. Senator Canavan.
President, it's on relevance. The minister spent 30 seconds denigrating me, and the question is about his government's renewables rollout.
Senator Canavan, I believe you interjected, and as you know, the minister is entitled to take your interjection. If it wasn't you, I apologise, but certainly someone in that direction, I beg your pardon, it was Senator Cadell. I would happily draw the minister back to the question, but you need to keep your side quiet because the minister is entitled to take interjections. Minister Ayres, please continue.
Thank you. We have an enormous task in front of this government and in front of Australia. It is a task that is in the national interest. It's in the national interest. And it's a task that's been made so much harder by two things that your side of politics could have actually made a patriotic national contribution to. Right? And that is spending the last 10 years of the miserable arc of the Morrison, Turnbull, Abbott inaction period, actually building a little bit of generation capability and building a little bit of transmission capacity, like doing a little bit of work, lifting a little bit in the national interest, and instead what happened? Nothing. 4 gigawatts out. 4 gigawatts out of the electricity system, only 1 gigawatt in. Only 1 gigawatt in. And off that base of inaction, we are working hard as a government to deliver 99 projects approved by this government that deliver energy for Australia, deliver electricity for industry, but of course we start 10 years behind because of the failure there. And secondly, wandering around in regional communities using the kind of hyperbole and misinformation, much of it generated from internet offshore extremist politics,
Minister Ayres,
is not in the national interest.
The time has expired. Senator Canavan, first supplementary.
Thank you, Madam President. The government's 82% renewable energy target was derived from its Reputex modelling that claimed that Labor's energy plan would lower power bills by $275 a year, which has not happened. Given that the government has distanced itself from this modelling, what additional modelling has the government done to give the Australian people confidence that its renewable targets are achievable?
Thank you, Senator Canavan. Minister Ayres.
Well, Senator Canavan, one of the advantages, of course, of being in government is that you have all of all of the machinery of government, all the capability of government to make assessments about what is in the national interest in terms of climate change targets and in terms of the delivery of a low-cost, reliable electricity system. And of course, we're ably assisted in that by the new CEO, the new chair of the Climate Change Authority, Mr Keane, a former Liberal Treasurer from New South Wales, who's working with the government, supporting the government's assessments on these, on the ground, in regional communities, working with the electricity sector to make sure that we deliver the best outcome in the national interest. Because we're focused on the national interest, the real national interest here for Australian industry and Australian households.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Canavan, second supplementary.
Thank you. It's clearly a hit and hope strategy. Last week, Minister, you said in question time that the big obstacle to transmission projects were silly billies stoking fear in the regions. Minister, the Victorian farmer Rachel McIntyre has said that, and I quote, "It is going to be difficult to farm underneath these transmission lines. We have a lot of legal operations we now need to consider, even just to do our daily tasks." Does the minister believe that farmers like Ms McIntyre are an obstacle to the government's plans?
Thank you, Senator Canavan. Minister Ayres.
No, look, you know, it's like a sort of the old FSB propaganda operation. You know, the misdirection operation. That's what happened. The silly billies, Senator Canavan. You are the captain of the silly billies. He is the deputy of the silly billies.
Minister Ayres, withdraw that comment.
I withdraw all of it. I withdraw all of it. And people like Ms McIntyre and other people in the farming community, of course they should be consulted. Of course they should be engaged with. What they don't need is the silly billies from the Liberal and National Party campaigning against renewable developments hundreds of kilometres away from where they live, because they're picking up the extremist politics from offshore, delivered by propaganda outfits that are not Australian and not acting in the Australian national interest, and creating fear and apprehension in their own partisan interest.
Expired. Senator Walker.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Communications, Senator Farrell. I refer to the Albanese Labor government's ongoing commitment to online safety and the delivery of world-leading social media minimum age limits. How is the government tackling a range of abusive and predatory technologies and taking a new, proactive approach to protecting our wider community from the impacts of stalking, nudity and deepfake apps?
Thank you, Senator Walker. Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and thank Senator Walker for her question and the great work that she's doing on behalf of the people of South Australia. Today marks yet another step in the Albanese Labor government's ongoing commitment to tackle the abhorrent spread of abusive and predatory technology. Alongside our world-leading social media minimum age reform, the government is acting to protect our most vulnerable against deep-fake and online stalking apps. We've seen the apps spread at an alarming rate, with one child in every classroom in Australia being the victim of a deep-fake abuse. 4 out of 5 of these victims are young girls. It's clear that this abuse is not slowing down either. Recent reports from the eSafety Commissioner indicate that the use of these apps has doubled in the last 18 months, and the harms experienced at the hands of these apps is just too great. And that's why the Albanese Labor government is determined to take a proactive approach. Our government will work alongside industry to develop and deliver these reforms, alongside our ongoing work on the digital duty of care. It will complement current state and Commonwealth laws prohibiting stalking and the distribution of non-consensual explicit materials. While we all recognise this is a place for AI and tracking technology in Australia, there is simply no place for tech that is used to abuse, humiliate and harm our most vulnerable Australians.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Walker, first supplementary.
It's clear that the Albanese Labor government takes the impact and danger of online harms and abuse seriously, especially when it comes to our most vulnerable children. How is the government taking action today to protect our children from the pervasive and persuasive pull of social media and giving parents across the country peace of mind?
Thank you, Senator Walker. Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and thank Senator Walker for her first supplementary question. Our kids are always the priority. That's why today the Albanese Labor government is committing to use every lever at its disposal to protect our kids. We must create an online environment which is safe for our kids to connect, an environment that is free from predatory technology. Apps that are designed to abuse, to bully and to humiliate are unacceptable. They expose our kids at a time when they are most vulnerable. Today's commitment to restrict access to these abhorrent apps will make a real difference in protecting young Australians. We want children to have their childhood, and we want parents and grandchildren to have peace of mind.
Thank you, Minister Farrell. Senator Walker, second supplementary.
These social media minimum age rules will act to provide Australian parents with yet another tool to protect their children at their most critical stage of development. What will the impact of the Albanese Labor government's world-first online safety reforms have for Australian families and children across the country?
Thank you, Senator Walker. Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Senator Walker, for your second supplementary question. We have less than 100 days to go until the start of the Albanese Labor government's world-leading social media minimum age restriction. Less than 100 days until we give kids the chance to build a real-world connection. Less than 100 days until our kids are empowered to know who they are before platforms assume who they are. Australian parents know the Albanese Labor government has their back. We stand on the side of each family faced with an increasingly scary and dangerous digital environment. Social media has a social responsibility, and our government will continue to hold them to account.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Colbeck.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Education, Senator Walsh. Before the last election, the Prime Minister promised that he would introduce paid prac for future nurses, teachers, social workers and midwives. What do you say to Elliot, a just-turned 19-year-old first-year nursing student at UTAS, who, when he went to sign up for his paid prac on the 1st of July, was told that he didn't qualify and he wouldn't be getting paid because of the rules and guidelines that Mr Albanese has put in place?
Thank you, Senator Colbeck. Minister Walsh. Order, senators. Minister Walsh.
Thank you very much, President. Well, we are really proud to be supporting Australian students with paid prac. And I'm not sure about Elliot's circumstances, Senator Colbeck, but I can tell you in my portfolio of early childhood education, paid prac is making a real difference to people. We have shortages of workers in nursing. We have shortages of workers in teaching, and paid prac is supporting people to stay at university and receive the support they need. Senator Colbeck.
Senator Colbeck, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. How many student nurses, teachers, social workers and midwives will be like Elliot and won't get paid to do their prac because they don't qualify?
Thank you, Senator Colbeck. Minister Walsh.
Thank you, Senator Colbeck. Well, our government's new Commonwealth prac payment started on the 1st of July 2025, and it will support around 68,000 eligible higher education students to complete their practical training each year. And it will support a whole lot more students than you wanted it to support, which was
Minister
zero.
Minister Walsh, please resume your seat. Senator Colbeck.
A point of order on direct relevance. My question was not how many students do apply, qualify, how many students don't qualify?
The minister is being relevant to the question, Senator Colbeck. Minister Walsh. Oh, okay. Second supplementary, Senator Colbeck.
Isn't Elliott ineligible because Labor designed paid prac with a 30-hour rule from 1 July? That means, and a means test that knocks thousands out. Will you fix the guidelines so all mandatory placements in nursing, teaching, social work and midwifery are genuinely paid, as the Prime Minister promised?
Thank you, Senator Colbeck. Minister Walsh.
Thank you, Senator Colbeck. And the Albanese Labor government is delivering on our promise. We are delivering on our commitment to deliver paid prac for students of nursing, midwifery, social work and education. This is a game changer for tens of thousands of university students in critical degrees and occupations. And you know what? There are tens of thousands of people who will benefit from this, which is tens of thousands more people than would benefit if you were in government, because the number of people who would have paid prac if you were in government is zero.
Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. I'd ask that further questions be placed on notice. And I have an update to a question from Senator Lambie, just to indicate that I took some questions on notice in relation to Russian oil imports, and I've written to the senator to provide additional information. I table my letter for the information of all senators. I also seek leave to make a short statement.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted. Thank you, Senator.
I thank the Senate. Colleagues, this week is the final sitting week for a staff member who is well known to many of you, Mr Anton van Bavel. I think he's well known to most people across the chamber. Anton loves the Sturt Football Club, he loves American political history, and he loves Australian election statistics, but most of all he loves the Australian Senate. Its procedures, its intricacies, its traditions. And Anton respects this institution deeply. Like me, he understands what it brings to our democracy. And while he might have been my advisor, his first instinct has always been to protect the dignity of the Senate, and partisanship comes second. He is an example to everyone in this place. Anton's respect and passion for the Senate started early. He tells me as a child he listened to Senate debates on what was then the ABC Parliamentary News Network. Anton has absorbed both the knowledge and the philosophy of the great Senate clerks, Harry Evans and Rosemary Laing, and he knows more about both the character and workings of the Senate than anyone I know, except perhaps Mr Pye. Senators, particularly Labor, but also others, have benefited from this knowledge. I personally have benefited greatly from his knowledge and his loyalty over some, in total, 16 years of service. So this is the end of an era. I want to thank publicly, and in this place that matters so much to him, Anton, for the sacrifices it takes to do this work, for his dedication to his craft and for his commitment to serving our nation. Anton, you go with my affection and my best wishes for life beyond this place.
Senator Cash.
I would also seek leave to make a short statement.
Senator Cash is seeking leave. I'm assuming leave is granted. Senator Cash.
Thank you. And on behalf of the opposition, I'd like to associate the coalition with the remarks from Senator Wong about Anton. And I think it is not often, in fact, Senator Wong, it's very rare in this place, that when a key advisor leaves, that we are given the opportunity to thank them. But in relation to Anton van Bavel, it is appropriate that we recognise the incredible service that you have provided, not just to the Australian Labor Party, but to the Senate over many, many terms. And in that regard, it is your partner in crime, Jonathan Sharman, who has actually provided me with these words today, along with Lily Ballum, who has contributed, and it's Lily's last day tomorrow, in fact, so it's an end of an era for both sides of politics. But as Jonathan said to me, how does one sum up Anton? One might say politics, religion, art, sport, but not always in that order, I understand, especially when the Crows are playing or the cricket is on. One of the things I didn't know about you, Anton, and I did find out earlier today, though, is that you're also a man of deep personal faith, and I would like to recognise that. As Senator Wong said, and I think there are probably only 76 other people in Australia, quite possibly, who would understand the words of Senator Wong, would agree with them and, in fact, wholeheartedly endorse them when it comes to the person who advises the Leader of the Government in the Senate and the person who advises the Leader of the Opposition in the Senate. And that is, you do need to have a love of the practice, the standing orders and the Senate institution. And I know that between Jonathan Sharman and yourself, Senator Wong and I have always had implicit trust in the decisions that you both make and certainly the advice that you provide us. We know that you'll miss this place, but you are very well known and respected amongst the opposition ranks. Jono wrote for me, some have said, this is what Jono said, he has at times a James Moriarty, Sherlock Holmes type of relationship with Jonathan Sharman as they go tit for tat in deploying Senate tactics. It is interesting, and I won't take up time because this is obviously Senator Wong's opportunity here. But other than leadership, I don't think too many people know the hard work that actually goes on from the beginning of the day right through till night to actually ensure that we do function in this place. So, Anton, thank you for everything you've done to ensure the Senate is held to the best possible standards. And certainly I know that when we were in government and you're in opposition, you're decent and honest dealings with the coalition over many, many years. You've been a solid foundation and support not just for Senator Wong but the Australian Labor Party, and I know you will be missed. Believe you me, you will be missed. Good luck with whatever you decide to do in the future, and on behalf of the coalition, we hope you have a well-deserved break. Thank you.
Senator Waters.
Thanks, President. I'd just like to associate myself and the Greens with those well-deserved comments, Anton. Thank you for 16 years of working to try to make the world a better place, and wish you all the very best in whatever comes next.
Thank you, Senator Waters. Minister Ayres.
Much more prosaic from me, President. In question time on the 26th of August 2025, Senator Wong undertook to provide further information in response to questions about housing asked of her by Senator Bragg in her capacity as the Minister representing the Prime Minister. Senator Wong has asked that I respond on her behalf in my capacity as the Minister representing the Minister for Housing. I've written to Senator Bragg to provide additional information, and I table my letter to the Senator for the information of all senators.
Thank you, Senator Ayres. Is anyone seeking to take note? Senator Scarr.